Let's go, light them up. These are the 2014 FIL World Lacrosse Championships. We're at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. We're better late than never. It's Canada in the Blue Division finale against Australia. So nice of you to join us. Along with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati. The Australians know they've qualified for the quarterfinals tomorrow. They're still hoping, Mark, they can vault straight to the semis if James Lawyerson can dial up an upset.
Great playmaking ability, Lawyerson, so quick, excellent vision, a goal and 3 assists. Last night, a tough loss to the Iroquois.
As for Canada, they understand that the United States owns the top seed, but Jeremy Noble may help his team get a day off with a win tonight.
A career-long midfielder at the University of Denver. He's transitioned down to attack. He's a right-hander, incredible quickness. He's getting used to his new role as the quarterback of the Canadian offense. 4 goals and 2 assists yesterday in a rout of Japan.
The man who pushes the buttons on the Canadian sideline, we're going to first look at his opposite number, that's Glenn Meredith. And then there's Randy Mearns. Mearns knows he's got a very difficult assignment in green and gold.
No question, the Australian team has come to play here in Denver. They have been scrappy. They gave the Iroquois all they could handle. They hung with the United States until midway through the second half. They are a bona fide contender.
Glenn Meredith said his team was grateful for a full warm-up. We've had another weather-delayed kind of soggy day here in Commerce City, but the Aussies had their chance to go through their normal paces. The Canadians didn't come out onto the field till we were about 23 minutes to face off, but everybody's ready to roll in this one, and you know darn well that the Australian faithful would stay up late at night and root on their favorites. Australia 2-2 in Blue Division play. Tangling with Dylan Ward and Canada. The Canadians sit at 3-1. If they win, they are the second seed in the Blue Division. The United States went perfectly through the group at 5-0.
Interesting right away. Australia facing off with a long stick. Brad Sheldon. That is one thing that Australia has not done well at this World Championships is face off, and they're making an adjustment right away.
Ben Newman's been getting a lot of draws, but only won 3 of 14 against the United States. Meanwhile, Jeff Snyder, the mainstay at the X for Canada, has won 50 of 76, and he plucks the first one off the carpet tonight. Team Canada in white, Australia green and gold. Good check, though, by Sheldon. As the Canadians will settle 6-on-6, the ball's in the cross of Curtis Dixon, who has 12 goals in the first 4 games of the tournament.
Such a threat underneath, but he also has range. He can kill you anywhere from 12 yards and in.
This game starting 10 o'clock Mountain Time in the United States. So glad you've stayed up there with us on ESPN3. A special welcome to viewers across Canada on TSN2 and watching around the world on international outlets such as Sky. Pickett rolls it into the crease. The starting netminder for the Aussies is Tom Vickery. We do expect to see Warren Brown before this game is complete.
Being late here in Commerce City, the temperature has dropped about 10-15 degrees from when the United States faced off with Iroquois about 3 hours ago. 2 hours ago, make it. And the wind is really picked up, and it's affecting some stick work.
Temps in the mid to low 60s right now. Pickett drops the ball. He had Wesley Bird right there with him. The officials sound out the whistles. Chris Clark, Scott McCall, Hirofumi Hayashi, and Peter Davidson are presiding over this game.
First flag of the night is against Canada, and it is an interference call. So the Australian extra man unit will get out and stretch its legs.
This is when all of Canada has to watch out for number 5 in green and gold. Right there, Nathan Stiglish, who potted 4 goals against the Iroquois last night in a weather-delayed game that went past midnight here locally. A tremendous setting, almost surreal, with Iroquois prevailing 12-10. It must have taken a lot out of them. They were humbled by the United States earlier tonight, 18-5. Rob Pannell with 7 goals, the second most ever by a player on a U.S. men's national team. Good stick check, good takeaway. Jason Noble is off to the races for Canada. Still shorthanded for another half a minute. Brody Merrill looks inside. Off the roll, they scoop. Jones moves it quickly, and it was too tall as he was trying to find Jeremy Noble on the far post.
So unselfish is this Canadian offensive bunch. And here we're going to see the little flip. Jones being unselfish. He could have canned it right then and there, but the extra pass a little high off the top of the stick of Noble.
No score in this one. We're approaching the 3-minute mark of the opening quarter.
Pretty feeble extra man attempt by the Australians that last go-round. They are missing Matt Diver, one of their best scorers, not only in 6-on-6, but on extra man, and it doesn't seem like they're comfortable without his presence.
Diver leads Australia in goals in this tournament. He has a beautiful shooting stroke. Glenn Meredith told me about 10 minutes before face-off tonight that he was going to keep him on the sideline. He has a strained glute. Backing in here, Anson Carter. Lawyerson will switch it up. Stephen Mortimer is inverted below the goal line. Dylan Ward barking out the defensive signals for Canada. Marty Hyde from the top, picked up outside by Dylan Roy. Lawyerson, the man you like for his feeding instincts, surveys from behind the goal. Mortimer feeds, Lawyerson fires and scores! James Lawyerson on a set play.
They ran this play against Japan. I love it. Great spacing behind. It's a big little. Lawyerson's covered by a shorty. His line mate Mortimer covered by a pole. And it's just a drag cut across X and around the cage. And on a sprint, it's a 2-2-2 set, meaning two behind. They're expecting a dodge with the Canadians. When Lawyerson cut, his short stick defender could not keep up with him.
Mark, that requires an extremely sharp shot on the run from Lawyerson as he bags his 6th goal of the tournament, giving the Aussies the advantage just shy of the 5-minute mark in the opening quarter. Canada sitting at 3-1. A win tonight for the Canadians would assure them of the 2nd seed and a day off and an immediate berth into the semifinals on Thursday night at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Commerce City, Colorado. We're about 10 minutes from downtown Denver.
So much at stake in this game for both ball clubs. Canada wins, it's nice and clean. They're through to the semis. Australia wins, we've got some figuring out to do.
Pencils and erasers are necessary. Jordan Hall working in on the feed there. Holding, one more. Dixon gets to the middle and fires a laser beam to the corner.
Curtis Dixon has evolved into so much more than just a finisher on this Canada offense. Look at him take on two Australian defenders. Just bad approach, not down low, no stick on the gloves, everything's up high. And Dixon with that whip shot, we mentioned his range. He can beat you from anywhere, from right on the porch, all the way out to 12, 14 yards.
Just lethal. His biggest performance in this tournament, 5 goals and 3 assists against England, as he racks up goal number 13. Snyder has been so dominant at the face-off X, and Jeff comes away with another face-off win. A man who was the MVP of the World Games back in the summer of 2006 on home turf in London, Ontario. Canada has won this World Championship twice. The United States each of the other 9 times.
You can see Sheldon, the long stick for Australia, is not even trying to face off. He's letting Snyder clamp it, and then he's trying to overpower him because Snyder holds that down for a clamp too much. It could be a withholding penalty against the Canadians and give possession over to the Aussies.
Sheldon's all about creating mayhem. They've sacrificed the draws to Jeff. Greer will turn it. Cam Flint picked up on the outside by Sam Bullock. Canadians in the white jerseys circle it up. Wesley Berg, who plays at the University of Denver. Zach Greer, the former standout at Duke and at Bryant. Flint off the sweep. Wesley Berg accelerates. Bump to the alley by Will Pickett. Berg. Adam Jones and Zach Greer get things coordinated. Greer from the top playing a midfield role. Around the screen, zips it to the corner. Zach Greer.
This midfield unit for Canada of Flint, Berg, and Greer has 2 natural attackmen. Wesley Berg, number 14, and number 88, Zach Greer. This is just a simple sprint to the left. Beautiful 2-man game. as the Australians were shutting off Cam Flint. So there's no switch. Right there, better communication. The shorty should have switched off and taken Greer, driven him down the alley, but he doesn't. And Sheldon gets beat topside.
Canada played a terrific game in this World Championship tournament against the Iroquois. In that one, Zach Greer was 0 for 7 shooting, which is so rare, as he burns Vickery for an early strike, giving Canada the advantage 2-1. We've crossed the 8-minute mark of the opening quarter. This is the final game of pool play. We're into the championship bracket tomorrow, beginning with quarterfinal action. Plenty of consolation games going on just the same. 38 nations, 38 teams in this 2014 World Championships, up 9 from 4 years ago in Manchester, England.
Obviously, our focus is on the blue division, who's going to win the gold medal. But man, I tell you, all the way 1 through 38, those teams are jockeying for some, like Uganda. They could finish as high as 33rd. That would be a monumental accomplishment to that young program.
Of all the many wonderful storylines in this tournament, that one has to rank extremely high. Uganda has been everybody's darling in the last week and change. This is day 6 of the tournament. On the move, it's whistled wide of the goal. You hear all the coordination at field level. Ben Newman back in number 16 tonight. It's Luke Keesing, a 22-year-old, picked up back behind the cage by David Earl. Newman on the flip, anticipating that was Jason Noble. He wants to start a fast break. It's the veteran for the Aussies, John Takarua, who claims the ground ball. Takarua playing now in his 4th different World Championship tournament. Bad clear. Adam Jones is going to feast on that. Dixon behind the back, and it just gets away from Jeremy Noble. Noble recaptures. Jones is there through a changeup wide of the goal of Vickery, and the officials say Canada ball.
Noble has now fanned on 2 scoring opportunities. Granted, tough feeds from close range, but that's part of the adjustment of 1, moving from midfield to attack, and 2, it's nighttime here. He's got his back to the goal where he's normally in his career, he's been facing the goal.
Dixon and Greer on the board for Canada. Lawyerson the first to strike for the Aussies. It's 2-1 for the guys in the white jerseys. Crowley, just 2 goals in the tournament so far. Stumbled there, he was tripped up in the alley. The quick centering pass was snapped out of the air by Vickery. Tom Vickery, a 31-year-old netminder, had 10 stops in the overtime opener in the dramatic win over Japan, as Callum Robinson will bring it ahead. Callum, 2 in the green, originally was headed to the University of Maryland, did not qualify through the clearinghouse, plays his collegiate ball in the United States at Stevenson in the Baltimore area. The big koala is on his way. He's knocked down by Jordan Hall.
He is the crime stopper for Team Australia. He is the one that directs traffic, lays the lumber, and provides the physical play for the Australian defense.
Nigel Morton teaming up with Thomas Graham. This guy was named the best player in Australia in 2013. He does not have a point in this tournament. Somewhat of a surprise for the 21-year-old star. Learning on the fly.
Absolutely. I love the 2-man game that Australia incorporates. They love to invert. The midfielders are quick and shifty with great vision.
Jordan Hall sitting down defensively for the Canadians. Back behind the goal, it's Keesing, marked by Dylan Roy. One of the many University of Denver pioneers, former players and standouts that dot the lineups all around the teams in the World Championships. Lawyerson, picked up by the veteran all-world defender Brody Merrill. On the move, Graham. Lawyerson, skip a man in tight, and Ward goes to the splits to beat Stiglish. Wow. He got a little chunk and some help from the post.
Highway robbery for Dylan Ward. Take a look in your left, the U-view. Look at that foot. Oh my God, that ball was going into the back of the net, and the quick reflexes, kick, save, and a beaut by Dylan Ward.
Dylan Ward in his first 4 outings on the world stage, almost 62% in the save percentage category. A third-team All-American back in the day. The tender age now of 23, both outdoors and indoors. This guy is something special.
Such a tremendous senior season at Bellarmine. Saved about 65% of his shots. And here he comes on offense.
He's going to the goal. Puts the shovel inside, and that's taken out of the air. A little too soft on the pass. Takarua, the 37-year-old defender, puts it out there for Sam Bullock. Aussies looking for numbers with Nigel Morton. Canadians quickly get back in the hole. We go 6-on-6.
Dylan Ward held it too long. He just held it too long, but also his Canadian attack, they just kind of stood flat-footed and let him go to the goal himself. Got to have an outlet to your goaltender.
Second time today, you and I have seen a goalie make a deep break for it into the offensive third. The other, Ben McAllister of England, as the English were beaten in overtime by Team Japan today. Glenn Meredith's squad trailing by 1. We'll get you back for the conclusion of the opening quarter. It's the World Championships on ESPN3. A low-scoring and well-played lacrosse game to this point. 2-1 for Team Canada over Team Australia in the 2014 FIL World Championships. The Aussies minus Matt Diver, and they're missing a lot when you don't have this guy in the lineup.
Yeah, especially on extra man offense, but he's also a guy who can just take the ball to the goal. But this is his forte, setting his feet and shooting. And obviously the type of injury he has will prohibit the lower body from getting power and torque on rockets like that. So Matt Diver, players like Lawyerson and Mortimer and Morton, they're going to have to step up even more to counteract Coach Randy Mearns' defense.
You can tell by Coach Mearns' hair that the wind is starting to pick up. Temps in the low 60s with just 6 and change to go in the opening quarter.
Just wild, the weather here. You could be here at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, or right around when we started, 2 p.m., and it's 85 degrees and hot on the turf, and then all of a sudden the front comes through and the temperature drops 15 degrees.
You ain't kidding. I'm wearing 3 layers right now. 3 different layers. It is summer, right?
It is.
Just check it. Fuss and Brown back behind the goal for the Australians. Quickly coming to call defensively, Team Canada's David Earl, who will weave his way through some traffic. Send it on for Jesse Gamble. Gamble, drafted by the Toronto Rock of the Indoor League, used to be a Rock season ticket holder. How cool would that be?
Dream come true.
Greer on the board tonight, along with Curtis Dixon. What else is new? Dixon's got 13 goals in 5 games. Lawyerson, the lone tally for the Aussies. You are all caught up at 2-1. There's a flag down at the midline.
It's an offsides against Canada, and the flag was picked up because the Canadians had possession of the ball. Had Australia had possession, that would have been a time-serving foul.
Callum Robinson in tight quarters for Takarua. It gets away from him. Matthews is there. It's off of his boot and out of bounds. It'll be Aussie ball.
Australia catches a break right there, and that last offensive possession, so disappointing for Australia. You call timeout to set something up, and you don't even get a shot on goal. The stick work for Australia has been a little shaky in the last 90 seconds or so. Can't do that against the Canadians.
4 years ago, Canada went 5-0 through the Blue Division in the World Championships in Manchester. They beat the United States in round-robin play. The U.S. came back to avenge that loss in the championship game. This time around, Team USA started the tournament with a win over Canada. Here's an easy chance. Working in and putting it away, it's Adam Jones.
We just got done talking about stick work and fundamentals. Vickery, a little too careless. He tried to walk the dog. Instead, it flies out of his stick, and there's no sharing right there. Interesting. Watch to the left of your screen when Jones picks this up. A Canadian attackman gets dumped into the crease. The goal still counts. Unlike American or NCAA lacrosse, if someone was in the crease, it would be blown dead immediately. But when offensive players are shoved into the crease by the defense, they do have a chance to get out of the goal.
Adam Jones, like so many of these Canadian players, performing in his first World Championship. Team Canada intentionally young during this tournament. In the words of GM Dave Huntley, multiple flags on the turf as Jeff Snyder came out of there with a draw.
I think it's going to be a slash call right there on the side of Snyder's head. So extra man opportunity for the Canadians.
Will Pickett has a seat.
Oh yeah, I got him.
The ultra-talented Canadian extra man unit goes to work. Watch out for Mark Matthews, who tormented Team Japan with a 5-goal performance. Dixon works back behind the cage. Wesley Berg on the flank. Jeremy Noble, Adam Jones connecting the dots. Berg for Dixon to the crease. That one buzzed off the hip of its intended target, and Callum Robinson comes up with a scoop in what has been a whistle-plagued opening quarter. The possession goes back to Team Canada.
1 minute for slash.
Not sure what that call was. I'd have to assume an illegal screen or a moving pick. But that's a tough call when you have so many jerseys and bodies going for the ball.
20-minute running quarters in the World Championships. We have 2 minutes to go in the opening frame. Canada has the last 3 goals in succession. Dixon tried to golf that one in, didn't get it through Callum Robinson, who's running for cover on the clear. Another turnover. Takarua and Adam Jones are shoulder to shoulder. Wesley Berg comes up with the scoop. Jones for Wesley Berg. He rattles it around the frame of the goal. And Graham comes up with the ground ball.
Take a look at the U view. Wesley Berg. This is not a bad shot. He wings it, and it just kisses off of the iron. Australia, after 2 failed clears, finally clears it successfully and kills the penalty.
Anson Carter mauled there by Kyle Rubish. 70 seconds with which to work in the opening quarter. Australia coming in with a mark of 2-2. They placed 3rd in the World Games in Manchester 4 years ago. But remember, Iroquois, the Nationals, were not there 4 years ago due to immigration and visa troubles. Problems with the passports. The Iroquois today dispatched by the United States emphatically 18-5. So a 3-2 mark for the Iroquois through division play.
Well, what a tremendous all-around performance by the red, white, and blue. Rob Pennell set the tone early with 3 first-quarter goals en route to a 7-goal performance. And how about Eck and Gorenlian? They were just incredible at the face-off X all day long.
Their face-off numbers are startling. Luke Keesing is running away from Jason Noble, former Cornell All-American. 3 times receiving that honor in Ithaca. Off the ground comes Jesse Gamble with good speed. Gamble streaks into the attack third, 22 seconds left. Whistle, stoppage in play, and a timeout, apparently, for Canada.
Shut-off defense incorporated by Canada on that last sequence. It was Luke Keesing that was just getting worked over by Noble.
Canada.
And Australia right now really needs to just regroup and take a deep breath because they're being run off the field.
You've seen Matt Brown, the offensive coordinator for Canada, and Randy Mearns' team quite a bit. This late in the quarter, having to work quickly, what are they likely drawing up?
I think Matt Brown runs a play at Denver as we get a good look at Taylor Ray, the defensive coordinator. But let me tell you, what they do is they'll run a circle, they'll fake a pick. So they'll act like a guy's going to dodge from up top. They'll put a pick right behind the man that they think they're going to dodge. Then they'll hit it down the wing, and the guy who's setting the pick will peel off and cut down the middle of the field. And oftentimes it's open for a quality look. Matt Brown, who's to the left of head coach Randy Mearns, standing behind him, he is the offensive mastermind of this team. Coach Randy Mearns is delivering the marching orders.
You saw Gary Gate there off in the distance, too. It's an impressive coaching staff for Team Canada.
Big, nice article today in the Denver Post. Matt Brown is the heir apparent to Bill Tierney at the University of Denver to take over the head coaching reins if and when Coach Tierney ever decides to hang it up.
Did I hear that Coach Tierney was playing in the over 60 division of this tournament?
Trevor, his son, Trevor tweeted that out. He said, you want to watch Coach Tierney play?
Very nice. Jordan Hall checking the time on the scoreboard. It ticks and ticks down to 12. Hall way on top of the restraining line. With good speed, he'll work in against Graham. Sweeping to the top. Off the screen, it's zipped high. Dixon with that elevator shot. Not a lot of time for Mark Matthews off the restart. He peppers it inside, and Vickery knocks it down. We have played 20 minutes in Commerce City, Colorado. The FIL World Championships. Canada and Australia, shoulder to shoulder, nose to nose, and on the scoreboard, it's the Canadians out in front. A 3-goal roll and a 3-1 lead. A low-scoring and well-played lacrosse game to this point. 2-1 for Team Canada over Team Australia in the 2014 FIL World Championships. The Aussies minus Matt Diver, and they're missing a lot when you don't have this guy in the lineup.
Yeah, especially on extra man offense, but he's also a guy who can just take the ball to the goal. But this is his forte, setting his feet and shooting. And obviously the type of injury he has will prohibit the lower body from getting power and torque on rockets like that. So Matt Diver, players like Lawyerson and Mortimer and Morton, they're going to have to step up even more to counteract Coach Randy Mearns' defense.
You can tell by Coach Mearns' hair that the wind is starting to pick up. Temps in the low 60s with just 6 and change to go in the opening quarter.
Just wild, the weather here. You could be here at 11 a.m. Mountain Time or right around when we started, 2 p.m., and it's 85 degrees and hot on the turf, and then all of a sudden, the front comes through and the temperature drops 15 degrees.
You ain't kidding. I'm wearing 3 layers right now. 3 different layers. It is summer, right?
It is.
Just checking. Fuss and Brown back behind the goal for the Australians. Quickly coming to call defensively, Team Canada's David Earl, who will weave his way through some traffic. Send it on for Jesse Gamble. Gamble, drafted by the Toronto Rock of the Indoor League, used to be a Rock season ticket holder. How cool would that be?
Dream come true.
Greer on the board tonight, along with Curtis Dixon. What else is new? Dixon's got 13 goals in 5 games. Lawyerson, the lone tally for the Aussies. You are all caught up at 2-1. There's a flag down at the midline.
It's an offsides against Canada, and the flag was picked up because the Canadians had possession of the ball. Had Australia had possession, that would have been a time-serving foul.
Callum Robinson in tight quarters for Takarua. It gets away from him. Matthews is there. It's off of his boot and out of bounds. It'll be Aussie ball.
Australia catches a break right there, and that last offensive possession, so disappointing for Australia. You call timeout to set something up, and you don't even get a shot on goal. The stick work for Australia has been a little shaky in the last 90 seconds or so. Can't do that against the Canadians.
4 years ago, Canada went 5-0 through the Blue Division in the World Championships in Manchester. They beat the United States in round-robin play. The U.S. came back to avenge that loss in the championship game. This time around, Team USA started the tournament with a win over Canada. Here's an easy chance. Working in and putting it away, it's Adam Jones.
We just got done talking about stick work and fundamentals. Vickery, a little too careless. He tried to walk the dog. Instead, it flies out of his stick, and there's no sharing right there. Interesting. Watch to the left of your screen when Jones picks this up. A Canadian attackman gets dumped into the crease. The goal still counts. Unlike American or NCAA lacrosse, if someone was in the crease, it will be blown dead immediately. But when offensive players are shoved into the crease by the defense, they do have a chance to get out of the goal.
Adam Jones, like so many of these Canadian players, performing in his first World Championship. Team Canada intentionally young during this tournament. In the words of GM Dave Huntley, multiple flags on the turf as Jeff Snyder came out of there with a draw.
I think it's going to be a slash call right there on the side of Snyder's head. So extra man opportunity for the Canadians.
Will Pickett has a seat.
Oh yeah, I got him.
The ultra-talented Canadian extra man unit goes to work. Watch out for Mark Matthews, who tormented Team Japan with a 5-goal performance. Dixon works back behind the cage. Wesley Berg on the flank. Jeremy Noble, Adam Jones connecting the dots. Berg for Dixon to the crease. That one buzzed off the hip of its intended target, and Callum Robinson comes up with a scoop in what has been a whistle-plagued opening quarter.
Wow.
The possession goes back to Team Canada.
1 minute per slash.
Not sure what that call was. I'd have to assume an illegal screen or a moving pick. But that's a tough call when you have so many jerseys and bodies going for the ball.
20-minute running quarters in the World Championships. We have 2 minutes to go in the opening frame. Canada has the last 3 goals in succession. Dixon tried to golf that one in, didn't get it through Callum Robinson, who's running for cover on the clear. Another turnover. Takarua and Adam Jones are shoulder to shoulder. Wesley Berg comes up with the scoop. Jones for Wesley Berg. He rattles it around the frame of the goal. And Graham comes up with the ground ball.
Take a look at the U view. Wesley Berg. This is not a bad shot. He wings it, and it just kisses off of the iron. Australia, after 2 failed clears, finally clears it successfully and kills the penalty.
Anson Carter mauled there by Kyle Rubish. 70 seconds with which to work in the opening quarter. Australia coming in with a mark of 2-2. They placed 3rd in the World Games in Manchester 4 years ago. But remember, Iroquois, the Nationals, were not there 4 years ago due to immigration and visa troubles. Problems with the passports. The Iroquois today dispatched by the United States emphatically 18-5. So a 3-2 mark for the Iroquois through division play.
Well, what a tremendous all-around performance by the red, white, and blue. Rob Pannell set the tone early with 3 first quarter goals en route to a 7-goal performance. And how about Eck and Garenlian? They were just incredible at the face-off X all day long.
Their face-off numbers are startling. Luke Keesing is running away from Jason Noble, former Cornell All-American. 3 times receiving that honor in Ithaca. Off the ground comes Jesse Gamble with good speed. Gamble streaks into the attack third, 22 seconds left. Whistle, stoppage in play, and a timeout, apparently, for Canada.
Shutoff defense incorporated by Canada on that last sequence. It was Luke Keesing that was just getting worked over by Noble. And Australia right now really needs to just regroup and take a deep breath because they're being run off the field.
You've seen Matt Brown, the offensive coordinator for Canada, and Randy Mearns' team quite a bit. This late in the quarter, having to work quickly, what are they likely drawing up?
I think Matt Brown runs a play at Denver as we get a good look at Taylor Ray, the defensive coordinator. But let me tell you, what they do is they'll run a circle, they'll fake a pick. So they'll act like a guy is going to dodge from up top. They'll put a pick right behind the man that they think they're going to dodge. Then they'll hit it down the wing, and the guy who's setting the pick will peel off and cut down the middle of the field. And oftentimes it's open for a quality look. Matt Brown, who's to the left of head coach Randy Mearns, standing behind him, he is the offensive mastermind of this team. Coach Randy Mearns is delivering the marching orders.
You saw Gary Gate there off in the distance, too. It's an impressive coaching staff for Team Canada.
Big, nice article today in the Denver Post. Matt Brown is the heir apparent to Bill Tierney at the University of Denver to take over the head coaching reins if and when Coach Tierney ever decides to hang it up.
Did I hear that Coach Tierney was playing in the over 60 division of this tournament?
Trevor, his son, Trevor tweeted that out. He said, you want to watch Coach Tierney play?
Very nice. Jordan Hall checking the time on the scoreboard. It ticks and ticks down to 12. Hall way on top of the restraining line. With good speed, he'll work in against Graham. Sweeping to the top. Off the screen, it's zipped high. Dixon with that elevator shot. Not a lot of time for Mark Matthews off the restart. He peppers it inside, and Vickery knocks it down. We have played 20 minutes in Commerce City, Colorado. The FIL World Championships. Canada and Australia, shoulder to shoulder, nose to nose, and on the scoreboard, it's the Canadians out in front. A 3-goal roll and a 3-1 lead. Canadian faithful in the stands at Dick's Sporting Goods Park after seeing the Aussies get on the board first. The guys in the red and white roared their way to the last 3 goals of the frame. Dixon, Greer, and Jones to give Canada the 2-goal cushion. A win tonight for Canada, the number 2 seed in the Blue Division, a day off, and an immediate berth in the semifinals Thursday. Should they fall to Australia, things get very interesting. It's been a busy day 6 of the World Championship Tournament as we crush in on the draw. Finally, the ball emerges, and it's in the cross of Jordan McIntosh, who's going right to the goal.
If the Australians are able to tie Schneider up like that, Joe, they have got to come up with the ground balls. Newman is a good jammer, and he's good at stopping guys with success, but the wing play has to be better for Team Australia.
McIntosh in his first World Tournament leaves it up top for Cameron Holding, native of Whitby, Ontario. Curtis Dixon. Lurking along with Kevin Crowley. Both Crowley and Dixon from the beautiful province of British Columbia, Canada. This is holding. Looked after by Newman. Canadians showing patience here. No shot clock, no timer on in World Championship play. Holding, given a nudge by Newman, inverts behind the cage. One more time for Crowley. And then Jordan Hall, who plays in Major League Lacrosse with the Florida Launch. Crowley off the turn, recently traded from the Florida Launch. Threw an elbow there, got away with a forearm shiver, and Vickery will send it back out for the Australians.
I'm surprised there wasn't a warning off call. Crowley's been frustrated a little bit in this tournament, not really putting up the numbers that you're used to seeing number 21 throw up.
Just 2 goals and 2 assists for Crowley in the first 4 games. We've played 2 minutes of the second quarter. Head coach Glenn Meredith for Team Australia getting his offensive-minded subs on. Once again, the Aussies without their leading goal scorer tonight. No Matt Diver in the lineup due to injury. And chatting with the coach, didn't sound like it was a major injury concern, but enough to keep him out of an important game with respect to seeding here in the Blue Division.
Yeah, you have to think if Diver were healthy or anywhere near healthy, he would be going at least just to play man up, to have that outside shooting presence, but we did not see him on Australia's lone EMO opportunity.
Stephen Mortimer leading in on Jordan Hall. Behind the cage for Keesing. The cut was made but not delivered and stashed by Anson Carter. Mortimer on the go. The Aussies will wear you down. They try to lull you to sleep. Keesing, marked by Holding. Hall still attached to Stephen Mortimer. Lawyerson, a long way from the goal. He'll operate a lot behind the cage tonight. Luke Keesing drives and dishes for Alex Brown. Anson Carter given a chop a couple of times by Matt Vince on the back end for Canada. Keesing loops one. Stall warning against the Aussies. Big drive from Carter, tapped away by Dylan Ward. The big keeper in the Canadian net with a maple leaf in his mesh kit. Such a beautiful look. The old goalie in me really wants to steal that stick.
Good offense and not a bad shot, but Ward, you see him crouch down that large, lanky frame and explode through the save. Hey, you probably like Jesse Schwartzman's webbing too. A little
Definitely.
red, white, and blue action there, Joe.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm envious. On the cut and the put away. Ooh. Mark Matthews scored, but he paid for it.
He gets up a little slow, grabbing his chest, sternum area. So Australia goes on offense and has the ball for about 2.5 minutes. Canada, on the ensuing possession, only has it for about 20 seconds, and Matthews just didn't, he scores, and he doesn't see the defender for Australia right there. There was no attempt by number 21, Andrew Ham, to lay any harm. Matthews just simply ran into him, and you know what it feels like when when you don't look where you're going and you run into something. Looks like he's going to sit out and catch his breath for a moment.
Canadian supporters flying the colors with pride. It's 4 unanswered goals for Canada. Snyder wins the draw. He was undercut there by Newman. Ground ball will come up for Dan Coates on the shovel to Jordan McIntosh. McIntosh inserted into this Team Canada lineup once John Grant Jr. had to pull himself out of the tournament.
McIntosh, he's experienced, he's quick, a much different player than John Grant Jr. John Grant, big lefty attackman, just kind of bulls his way in, muscles his way in. McIntosh a little bit more about quickness and speed. And Grant's absence has this Canadian offense playing much differently. The little water bug, the fleet-footed Jeremy Noble, running quarterback on the attack.
I spoke with Grant Jr. as he was walking across to the Canadian sideline, and he said this is when it gets bad. It doesn't hurt during the day, but when I walk to the sideline knowing that I can't play, that's when it really bothers me. John's been taking a doctor-prescribed testosterone treatment that would have been on the list of anti-doping agents. He was asking for a therapeutic exemption to play in this tournament. It was not granted. Then he pulled himself out of the lineup. Flint on the sweep, gets inside and scores! Cam Flint.
The Canadian offense has really changed, in essence, in 5 days. You didn't see this against the United States. It's basically just a deuces look, a 2-2-2 with motion, picks, and a lot of ability to make freelance because you get that defense crisscrossing. That is the end game, to get the middle opened up and allow a player like Cam Flint to run right down the heart of the Australian defense to have a quality shot.
They keep scoring at this rate, they're going to need new tires.
A new engine.
Canada sharing the wealth offensively. Dixon, Greer, Jones, Matthews, Flint. 5 different characters on the score sheet. 7 minutes gone by in the second quarter.
Well, there we see the withholding by Schneider. He's a power clamper. And with Sheldon hovering over top of him, he's just holding it. And that time Australia wins a faceoff without winning the faceoff.
Mark, you and all of our analysts, Jamie Monroe, Quint Kessner, Paul Carcaterra, you've all been saying this is a war of attrition. So many games in so few days. It looks like the Aussies are getting gassed.
It does. Their legs look a little weak, and offensively they're not incorporating much creativity right now.
Earl with a blast down the flank, leaves it to the trailer. No shot coming from Gamble. Brody Merrill does not yet have a point in this tournament. The long stick defender is usually ripe to cash in a time or two himself.
I'll tell you what, he's been leading the transition a little bit less this year with some of the speed merchants, Holding, Earl, etc. that Canada has on its roster. But when the chips were down against the Iroquois a couple nights ago, Lyle Thompson moved to attack. Number 17 in the red and white moved down to guard him.
Wasn't that a fabulous matchup as Crowley looks to keep the offense humming for Canada. Brody Merrill, 2 times voted the best defender in the world in these championships, playing for Canada. Hall swings back, his pass for Jesse King, who plays at Ohio State in the United States. Big rip. Holding had a nice look at that. He buzzed it over the crossbar.
Well, look at the offensive efficiency of the Canadians. These guys aren't having the ball in their stick for more than 2 seconds. What? 1, 2, it's out. 1, 2, it's out. 1, 2, it's out. I mean, these guys are just moving the ball so crisply and so efficiently. It's really fun to watch.
Gary Gate was telling us it's a different look now with Jeremy Noble back behind the cage, 25 in white. Hall speeds in, runs by his defender, and sent it wide of Tom Vickery. 9 minutes into the second quarter, 5-1 for Canada. They fell behind in the game's first 3 minutes. They have not looked back since. Kevin Crowley deals it for Noble. Jeremy, that is, at this end. Twin brother Jason at the other on D for Team Canada. Holding for Crowley on the isolation. Gets the double team help and treatment early. Floats it inside and a good pickoff. Reading the play was Takarua. Buzzes the outlet pass for Alex Brown. He was met immediately at the mid-stripe and held in the estimation of the official.
Alex Brown got away with one right there as he grabbed Dylan Roy's stick. Smart play, but watch Alex Brown. He's going to get hung up by Dylan Roy. Then he's going to clamp down on Roy's stick with his left elbow to give the referee the look that Dylan Roy's holding him.
All's fair in love and war in the World Championships. Lawyerson on a feed, skip pass over the top. Buzz bomb coming from Nigel Morton, rattles off the post, and Dylan Ward finds it at the crease.
So discouraging for the Australians. Their offense on that occasion looked pretty good. Nothing really creative. They're kind of doing the same things. They're getting some short sticks behind the goal, changing direction and hitting the backside. The unfortunate thing is Dylan Ward has made several nice stops here in the second quarter.
Wesley Berg on the run. He'll be a senior in the spring of 2015 for the University of Denver Pioneers. Jeremy Noble going to the goal. Spinning on back for Berg. Coates is up there. They'll make an offensive sub for him. So McIntosh will take his sweet time working against Luke Keeson. On the hidden ball, McIntosh keeps it, goes right to the goal, and Vickery was waiting.
We've seen 2 individual dodges on the last 2 possessions by Canada, and no goals. The name of the game is ball movement and quick motion offense.
You know darn well Canada was scouting the USA-Australia game earlier in this tournament. The Americans pulled off a hidden ball trick to perfection and a goal from Paul Rabel. All the acting and the characterization of the fakes were done by Pinnell, and Rabel had an easy time of it. This is Newman going to the goal. Merrill was waiting, and he'll use those long legs to stride back offensively. Brody with a burst, now at the age of 32. McIntosh took the handoff. Randy Mearns again is waiting to get an offensive sub on. Cam Flint will be the next man to get there, subbing in for David Earl. 8 minutes to go in this first half of play.
Great burst by Brody Merrill. You saw him in transition right there. But he doesn't make as many runs as he used to, but they're still very effective when he does.
Mark, am I right? There was a time when I would consider him the best player on the planet.
Oh, no question. No question. He's a guy who plays left-handed with a long pole, and you might as well put him down on attack. That's how good he was at getting up and down the field and handling the ball in any situation.
That's in the outdoor game. How about indoors? As it's no goal here, a crease violation against Adam Jones, but you know Brody Merrill indoors was spectacular just the same.
Unbelievable. He's had an unbelievable career. Here we're going to see Adam Jones gets his man top side, underneath, rolls. I'm not sure where the crease violation was. Looked like he got rid of it before he hit the crease line, but the referee's right next to the play.
Australians asking for time after James Lawyerson gave the Aussies the advantage. Canada has put 5 consecutive goals on the board, starting to strangle some of the life out of the Australians. As it is nearly 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in Australia. It's definitely Wednesday on the east coast of the United States.
We're getting there.
Locally, Mountain Time just about 11 p.m. and yet still they party on in green and gold. They're just getting started.
John Takarua, front and center. We saw the last huddle, it was Callan Robinson, the young gun, the big koala. This time, the old veteran, Takarua, leading the charge for Australia during that timeout.
At this time of the season back home in Australia, the guys in the green and gold are in the middle of their club seasons. They usually play lots of games on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so this should be right at home for them, a Tuesday night in Commerce City. As we check up and look at the stadium lights, we start to see, guess what? Some precipitation falling.
No. Say it isn't so.
It has been a rain-drenched tournament. And at times, too often with severe weather, there you see the rain falling. They can keep playing in the rain.
Heck yeah.
When the electricity comes, that's when things get dicey.
Let's see what Glenn Meredith, the head coach of Team Australia, has dialed up here. Marty Hyde going to start with it. I like when they invert and the motion and the cutting behind the cage.
We saw Glenn in Vail, Colorado, and he said we like to play that motion offense. We like to dictate the pace, and they've stayed true to their game plan throughout this tournament. This is the 5th game for these two teams. Seeding is on the line in the blue division. The United States has earned the top seed by going 5-0 through bracket play. The championship bracket begins tomorrow. The consolation rounds start to unfold. Quarterfinal action in Commerce City. Gamble racing to the midline. Bullet pass ahead for Earl. Earl closing. Coates. One more Noble. The trailer. No shot from Brody Merrill as it skips wide of the crease. They fight for it on the end line. Good work. Matthews steamrolling in. Adam Jones Had a huge performance against England, 5 goals and 2 assists. Not too shabby against the Iroquois as well, with a 2 + 2 = 4 night.
Well, Jones is one of the emerging stars for Canada, having a great tournament. You knew the names Wesley Berg, Crowley, Noble, but Adam Jones out of Canisius turning a lot of heads here in Denver.
The rain is picking up, the temperature is dropping here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. 5-1 Canada late in the first half. Little game of hide and seek back behind the goal. On the attempted quick stick there from Jeremy Noble, nothing. Vickery slammed the door, and back comes Sam Bullock. Gets through the ride of Matthews and hauls it ahead for the Australians.
Second timeout taken by Australia. Second time out of that timeout, the Sharks failed to generate a shot on goal.
You wisely took the night off last night when the Australians matched up with the Iroquois. We went through a lengthy, almost 2-hour severe weather delay. Before the horn sounded, the Aussies thought they had the Iroquois at 8-8. They thought they had them, and they were going to beat them in the fourth.
They felt like their defense, the Iroquois defense, was getting a little gassed, and man, that weather delay could really wreak havoc on your momentum. We saw that earlier today. Japan and England, 2 weather delays, and each time out of the breaks, England was flat.
Flag down, 4.5 to go in the opening half.
It's going to be a hold at least, if not a push. But Jordan Hall's just like, man, you got me.
Jordan Hall, David Earl, the depth of two-way midfielders for Canada. Very sound, very steady.
Very fast.
That too. So here come the Australians in possession with Alex Brown taking it for a ride against Jordan McIntosh. This is the hardest it has rained in this game tonight. Another flag hits the turf. The feed for Stiglish came right on through. It's extra man time now for Australia.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're supposed to be man down, and the Canadians still had 6 guys on the field.
Time for the hoods to come out for Randy Mearns. Fans are scurrying, going for the umbrellas. The wind is starting to pick up again with 3:15 to go in the second quarter.
So it turns out the call on Jordan Hall was a loose ball hold, but that one right there was a possession hold, therefore EMO for Australia.
Stiglish inside, chested down by Dylan Ward. Ward makes a solid stop there, and you can peek at it on the U-view.
Stiglish 4 goals last night, and that was just poor placement. Dylan Ward, credit him with good reaction, but when you shoot it right at the chest of the keeper, more times than not, it's going to be kept out of the back of the net.
Last night, Stiglish was a thorn in the side of Iroquois netminder Warren Hill, that was for sure. Dylan Roy is upset at the midline, and there's another flag on the turf. Plenty of pushing and shoving and harsh words exchanged.
Little cross-check action by Keith Nyberg, and watch the left combo come out for Zach Greer. Assistant coaches being involved.
What's at stake? Seating in the blue division for Coach Mearns and for Coach Meredith and their respective clubs. These two squads, Canada a mark of 3-1, working swiftly for Wesley Berg. And then Adam Jones with a sidewinder makes it 6-1.
The difference in this game between Australia and Canada, the Canadians are making the Australians pay for their mistakes. And this is no different on this extra man opportunity. Just great ball movement. It's a circle offense with no crease as Noble slips up high. There's Curtis Dixon open underneath as well, had Jones elected not to shoot it and dip it down to the posts. But right now, Canada has the Australians' number.
Another multiple goal performance for Adam Jones, who will turn 25 at the end of July. Penalty boxes have been full lately. Exiting this time, stage right, Keith Nyberg. Just about a minute to go in the opening half. Canada 6 unanswered after a James Lawyerson goal for Australia. Canadians want the timeout to diagram another play. See if they can have success offensively. Canada all over England, 23-3. They down the Iroquois by 1, and they're showing their offensive might again.
Well, it starts with Curtis Dixon, great sweep, beats 2 Australian defenders. Then Zach Greer, the converted attackman, with the whip shot. Adam Jones, after a failed clear by the Australians, comes down. And then you got big Mark Matthews. Again, Canada just making the Australians pay for their mistakes. Great motion offense. And the Aussies look a little tired right now. They look a little ragged after that tough loss last night to the Iroquois.
Canada's lone loss in the tournament in the opener last Thursday night in the main stadium at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. United States prevailed 10-7. It was a big second quarter that turned that game around. Team USA using that momentum to roll through the blue division. So they are the #1 seed. They are through to the semifinal with a bye. Should Canada win, they would get the day off tomorrow and avoid quarterfinal round activity.
And that quarterfinal round, you got some couple hungry teams in there in Scotland and Israel, 2 teams looking to really break through and beat a blue division opponent.
Canada beats Australia tonight. Should that happen, it would be Australia facing Israel in the quarterfinals.
And that'll be no walk in the park. And neither will Scotland. Scotland's not going to be an easy out either.
In the event of a Canada win, Scotland would get the Iroquois, who were decimated by the United States today. If you missed it earlier, on ESPNU, a dazzling offensive performance led by Rob Pennell. 7 goals, 2 assists worth of dazzling. Final 40 seconds of the opening half. Wesley Berg has it for Canada in white. Bullock was trying to funnel him to his left. Wesley Berg shimmies with it, plays catch with Jordan Hall. Switch the point of attack. Matthews is waiting. It's a double crease. Jones and Dixon in front of Vickery. Zach Greer is behind the net with 20 seconds to go. Hall and Canada will take the last shot. Clock at 10. Hall on the sweep, picked up by Keesing. 6 seconds left. No shooting room, no passing room either. Good defense from the Australians. And that will do it for one half of play as Callum Robinson throws the ball to Aurora. That's a long, long toss from the man with a long stick. We've played 40 minutes, one half of play complete. Canada nice and steady, very solid. Strong on the defensive end and opportunistic at this end. Stay right there with us. Halftime activities to come. These are the FIL World Lacrosse Championships from Colorado. Canada peeled off 6 unanswered goals to end the scoring in the opening half. As we prepare to start the third quarter, they own a 5-goal advantage over Australia. And true to form, head coach Glenn Meredith is going with Warren Brown here in the second half.
A little bit unorthodox, plays a high crease, active outside of the goal. Sometimes can be his own worst enemy as he likes to chase shots to the end line. If he loses that foot race, he leaves his goal cage unattended.
Randy Mearns can check the stat sheet. Brown made 9 saves against the United States back on Saturday. Canada is 3-1. Should they prevail in this game, they will earn themselves a day off tomorrow. They will leapfrog the quarterfinals, go right into the semis, just like the United States did by winning this Blue Division group. Japan and England dispatched from the bracket. Enter Scotland and Israel tomorrow. Please do be sure to check us out all over ESPN3. Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon with you as we tip our cap to all the men and women in our technical crew for their efforts, morning, noon, night, and then some. As we have begun play in the third quarter, the wind is whipping, the rain has subsided, which is nice. But it's that win that's always a portend of bad things.
It's just like the 7 layers of hell sometimes. you don't have one, you have the other.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mark Dixon. Speaking the truth, I might add. Stephen Mortimer turns away. The defense supplied by Jesse Gamble. The quick stick inside for Stiglish is bounced wide of Dylan Ward, who's gone the distance in goal for Canada. His backup, Brennan Donville, played 30 minutes against England recently. The English finished B group, or rather Blue Division group play, 0-5, and I was caught off guard by that.
Saw Matt Begley after the game, incredibly disappointed. Just said, hey, we got to make more plays and stop making dumb plays at critical moments. But they'll have a chance to regroup. They'll get Germany, a European foe they're very familiar with, and see if they can maybe finish in 5th place when this is all said and done.
Japan winning in overtime against England, and for their reward, they get to face New Zealand and see the Haka challenge at the outset. Nigel Morton stopping and starting. Playing catch there, Stephen Mortimer fires, and Ward stretches out to make that save.
Again, not bad offense, good shot, just Ward. He doesn't take up a lot of the goal because he's so lanky, but he's so quick. Look at the hands. And again, they hit him. They hit him a little bit too.
Positionally very sound, Dylan Ward, this 23-year-old from Orangeville, Ontario.
Good story from the New Zealand-Scotland game. So the Haka Challenge, okay? Scotland figured out that after the challenge is completed, whoever moves first is intimidated. Scotland didn't move.
Never flinched.
Never flinched. And they said, we're not leaving the field. We're not moving until New Zealand gets off the field.
Nice.
New Zealand left the field, and they said, people that witnessed it said New Zealand was a little shaken by that, and they fell behind early in that game.
As long as the guy who brought the bagpipes in didn't budge, you're all set.
Do the Haka to the bagpipes. How about that?
Lots of tradition. That's a skill. Cam Flint has one of the goals tonight for Canada, 18 in white, on the exchange for Adam Jones, who has 2. Flint running right by his defender. Gets collared there by 40-year-old Keith Nyberg. Flint swings it back up for Wesley Berg. Marked by Morton. To the alley without a shooting lane. On the kick back behind the cage, Jeremy Noble, who's found great success there. Dixon blazes one off the post.
And he's like a gunslinger. He just shoots it from any which way. Overhand, underhand, sidearm.
Here's a bid right on in. Walking in, Jeremy Noble to score.
There we see the unorthodox play of Warren Brown. Jeremy Noble coming from behind the goal line extended. Watch Brown with that high crease, and he just jumps out of the crease. And his defense kind of stopped playing. How many times you see Callum Robinson, number 2, stand flat-footed as a guy dances in front of his crease?
Unorthodox equals unusual, because if you're seeing the traditional goalies, I'll just go to the other end. Dylan Ward would have been almost heels on the goal line in that situation. Drew Adams, one of the 2 starters for the United States, along with Jesse Schwartzman, definitely would have had his heels on the goal line. Brown is out there flailing and made it all too easy for Noble. 7 straight for Canada. Dixon off the head fake. Backpedaling away and gets picked up on the perimeter by John Takarua.
Maybe Brown acts that way sometimes because he feels like his defense gives up on the play.
We've seen a lot of the Australians, you and I, and we've seen him do that far too often for my liking. But the big fella does make some saves in there.
It's weird. It is strange to come off your goal line and that high of a crease and chase a tackling. I mean, imagine a hockey goaltender coming out of his crease to chase skaters in front of his arm.
We'll do that from time to time, but nowadays the tendency in the NHL is even for goaltenders to play back, a la Henrik Lundqvist for the New York Rangers. Maybe LA Kings Stanley Cup winner Jonathan Quick, though, will challenge and be ultra aggressive. But Warren Brown for Australia takes it to the extreme. Holding has some room after a defender broke a stick. Hall inside, quick stick put away. There's Brown making the save on Dixon.
The other thing Brown does is he plays with his stick, Joe, around his ankles sometimes. Really weird.
We've got some kindling out on the field.
That's Matthew Fuss. Hal Holding just runs through that check. Snaps his cross in half.
Ross Hamilton, the long stick defender, bounced one wide. Garbage disposal. 7-1 for Canada, almost 6 minutes into the third quarter. Lawyerson struck first for the Australians, and that's all she wrote. Coming to get it, it's Marty Hyde, a 27-year-old, who will spin for Will Pickett. We've seen Pickett generate some good things from right here. McIntosh will close him off. Pickett shaking free. Shortens up on his stick. Good defense for McIntosh. Hyde's bid was partially blocked. It gave Ward fits, but it went over the goal.
We can hear Ward communicating to his defense. A young guy, pretty veteran group in front of him taking charge.
I expect to hear an amen and an hallelujah from the chorus. There's no rain right now, Mark. There's no rain. 13:20 to go in this third quarter. Temperatures in the 50s. Canada's offense heating up. A win for Canada, and they earned the second seed in the blue division. The Aussies would fall to 4. Iroquois would be 3. Turning and burning, it's Ben Newman. Bringing inside for Stiglish, marked by Rubish.
Rubish has done a great job all night on Stiglish. 4 goals for the big Australian last night against the Iroquois. He's barely had a sniff at all this evening.
Making a break for it is Lawyerson again, picked up by Coates. Switch it up, Pickett on the flip. And then Graham. Marked by Brody Merrill. Brody with a good timing on those checks, trying to get right on the hands. This one skipped back behind the goal for Lawyerson. He's got a shorty on him. It's Cam Holding. Almost 8 minutes gone by in the third. The feed inside gets away from Hyde. It was on the wrong side. Off the bench comes Alex Brown to Stiglish. It came right on through to Lawyerson. He's chopped by Roy, and there are flags on the turf.
First, it looked like it was going to be a loose ball push, but I think they're going to get Coates on an unnecessary roughness call, as Stiglish was just hurtled to the turf.
Rubish has a seat after this.
Right there. The ball obviously over the head of Stiglish, and I'm not afraid to say he embellished a little bit right there, but he draws the flag, and when you're trailing, EMO can get you back into games.
Australia wants to shoot the ball quicker on extra man. They don't have Matt Diver in the lineup. Their leading goal scorer is out injured tonight as they circle it up with 40 seconds to the extra man. Morton with a buzz bomb. It ricochets off of Ward, and it's in the cage. Time to celebrate for the green and gold.
It's been a while. Now the Australians have a little bit to dance about and celebrate with here in the Denver night. Just a move over to 15. Nigel Morton sounded like it hit the belly, the stomach area of Ward. Actually, it's between the legs. You could hear the thump up here in the booth. Then it just trickles through 5-hole. You can't stop them all.
Nigel Morton, who was so good against Japan, he won that game in sudden victory overtime for the Aussies. Gets the better of Dylan Ward there as that one just trickles across the goal line. The end of a 7-goal unanswered run for the guys in the white jerseys. Off the wing, Jason Noble helping to win the draw for Canada. The United States 5-0 in blue division play. They get the free ticket to the semifinals Thursday at Dick's Sporting Goods Park Stadium. Canada, should they hold this lead, improve upon it and win the game, they'll be the second seed. The Aussies would fall to 4th. They'd have to meet Israel. The Iroquois would get to see Scotland up close and personal. The flag toss signifies a soon to be extra man for Canada.
Tell you what, man, these referees in international, they get some distance, some height on their flags.
Whistle comes with Canada enjoying a 7-2 advantage. Conference to come, Chris Clark, Scott McCall, Hirofumi Hayashi, and Peter Davidson, the officials.
So the trip call as Dylan Roy crossed midfield, that's the penalty, and it's the right call. We're going to see Alex Brown go for it, and he trips up Dylan Roy. You take away advantage. Anytime you take away advantage, that's a flag. It's unfortunate and unlucky for Alex Brown, but it's the right call.
Adam Jones is at the top. Wesley Berg on the wing. Wesley Berg scores, wasting no time.
Wesley Berg, described by his coach at Denver, Bill Tierney, as a monster. And this is a monstrous shot. Watch the ball just trickle down low to Berg, who steps in, fakes it initially. And look at Warren Brown's stick. Look at where he's holding it. He's holding it at stomach level. It's not up where most goaltenders keep it near their ear. He's got it low, and by the time Wesley Berg stings the upper 90, Brown can't get his stick up in time.
That is true heat from Wesley Berg, who's played for Canadian national teams before, specifically the under-19 group that performed in Finland in 2012. Canada pushes back to a 6-goal advantage. Go back to the 2010 tourney mark. The Canadians crushed the Aussies in pool play 19-5, then beat them again in the semifinals in Manchester 15-6, ultimately to fall to Team USA and Ned Crotty, the last 2 goals of the tournament, to win it for the red, white, and blue.
Yeah, Canada's had the Australians' numbers for years now, and none more indicative than in 2010 when they really blitzed the Sharks. But this is an Australian team. It's a little faster, a little quicker, a little more athletic than the 2010 version. But they really miss Matt Diver tonight, and they just don't have that big marquee playmaker, a guy that they can rally behind. I mean, the hero night one was Nigel Morton. Layerson's had a good tournament. Divers had a good tournament. But and it's a good thing sometimes that they really exemplify team, but when the chips are down, they need those 1 or 2 guys to step up and make big plays, and they just don't seem to have those bona fide superstars.
33-year-old Jeff Snyder ready to take the draw opposite of Callum Robinson. Snyder on the advance as Robinson was out there just to chop an arm. I saw a bruise on Jeff Snyder's tricep. He's already hiding a baseball in there for a tricep muscle, but I saw a bruise on his arm that's just vicious. Those guys get beat on at the face-off X.
And what he told me yesterday after they throttled Japan was the Japanese guys beat him up pretty good. He won 11 of 15 face-offs against Gino, but he said the Wings just beat the heck out of him in any type of scrum.
Canada potted 20 goals in that game in that decision over the Japanese, who won today in overtime over England. Ken Ikegawa with a game winner on extra man. We did not have to go to sudden victory. It was one of those cumulative overtime wins. Lawyerson floats it to the far corner. Anson Carter's been more quiet than I would have expected. We saw Australia in the Vale shootout earlier last week, and Anson Carter was shooting up a storm.
Big game in the tournament was against England, a 10-7 win by the Australians, where he had 2 goals and 2 assists. But outside of that, Carter's been a little quiet here in Denver.
Off the flip, Anson Carter picks it up. Rubish gives him a chop as Carter works off the screen of Matt Fuss. Fuss was originally slated to be an alternate on this team. Tom Freeman was bothered by injury, and that put number 7 in the lineup. 23-man rosters in the World Championships. Running time, 20-minute quarters. Lawyerson with Vince right there to run with him. from the angle. That's an easy stop for Dylan Ward. You're making life too easy for him if you shoot from there.
The Australians just can't get any real penetration.
Gamble on the go. King keeps it moving. Matthews hooked it around the netminder to make it 9-2.
You got Dylan Ward, the Gumby in goal for Canada. And now you got his body double almost, Mark Matthews at the other end. So long and lanky. Look at him just reach around Warren Brown. Jump in front of my face all you want. Just reaches those long arms around and bounces it past. You can still see. Then he doubles over. That chest sternum injury he suffered in the first half still looks like it's bothering him a little bit.
Mark's been wearing a big slash pad on his arm. Matthews, so clever and quick around the cage. His quick stick finishes always seem to catch my eye. Newman bending to the task with Snyder here on the draw as we hear the whistles, and the ball will be awarded to Australia.
No.
Newman then fumbled it. Jeff Snyder says, gee, thanks. Snyder on the run. On the swim. Stopped there by Warren Brown. And Mark Matthews' ailments on this night continue. Letting out a gruesome roar. Writhing in pain.
CBS Outdoors, a proud sponsor of the 2014 FIL Lacrosse World
Clutching his left leg.
Provider of out-of-home ads nationwide.
Looks like it was knee on knee almost.
Ben Newman came through and kicked through. And what you're going to see it right here. And Mark Matthews is ailing, in need of attention, with Canada on top 9-2.
7 News at 5 and 10 p.m. for real-time world lacrosse news and weather updates, or visit the Denver Channel.
5 minutes and 11 seconds to play in this third quarter with Matthews on his back, and the Team Canada coaching staff looking on with concern. Just tuning in with us, it was 3-1 Canada after 20, 6-1 at the halftime break, and 9-2 at the moment. We'll get you away from Dick's Sporting Goods Park. We'll check on Mark Matthews after these words. Mark Matthews hobbling back towards the Canadian sideline. It's a 9-2 advantage. Matthews has been an important part of this offense for Canada. Oh, look at this. King on the intercept. Callum Robinson of Australia with egg on his face. It's 10-2.
Well, that's the replacement for Mark Matthews. And this is just miscommunication and poor execution. Callum Robinson tried to get the ball to Warren Brown right there. Then Brown jumps out of the crease. And Robinson with a careless flip goes right to Jesse King. You're not going to score many goals easier than that one.
That would be a gift for the 21-year-old King, who had a couple of assists against Japan. Canada's lead grows to 10-2 over the Australians, and more, it looks as if Canada will earn that bye into the semifinals with the United States. Those two teams would have the day off tomorrow and watch everybody else have to claw their way through the quarterfinals. Should the Australians lose this game, they'll be the 4th seed out of the blue division, and they'll have to face Israel, a game that you and I will have 7 o'clock local time on ESPN3. Fuss carries it along. One thing we know about the Australians, they will play this one all the way through the full 80 minutes of regulation. There's no give up in their game.
Absolutely not. A tough team. We've seen them come back from deficits against England and Japan. We've also seen them hang tough with the U.S. and the Iroquois. They're not going to go away against the Maple Leafs here tonight.
Mark Dixon, please tell me that was a strobe light I saw off in the distance. Please tell me that was a camera strobe light. As Lawyerson works in against Dylan Roy. Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon with you as we are glad that you've tuned in with us on ESPN3. We welcome viewers around Canada on TSN2 and watching all around the globe, in fact, on international outlets such as Sky. It is a 10-2 lead for the Canadians, who have never been in trouble in this contest. Dylan Roy marching the ball upfield. This is day 6 of the World Championship Tournament. A game that has seen occasional delays, now a loss of light power. A bank of lights has gone out here in Commerce City. From the ridiculous to the sublime.
Oh boy.
The officials bring play to a halt with 2.5 to go in the third quarter. Just as Canada was going to operate at the offensive end, a bank of lights has gone out.
I don't know what to say.
There isn't much to say. A tournament that has been plagued by severe weather. I think it's remarkable that the facilities have held up as well as they have, and selfishly, I say it about all of the gear in front of us, the camera operators, everybody who's doing yeoman work.
Sure.
This place is underwater,
yeah,
and it drains so quickly, but you're bound to see some things squirrely happen when you have weather like this to endure, and a field 10 that's been operational from pretty much the crack of dawn, right?
Yeah.
You were starting games at 8
8
a.m.
a.m. and running through times like tonight.
Now locally here, Rocky Mountain time, what? It's 11:30. That's a long day. Now the officials are going to have to huddle up and speak with representatives from both teams. Members of the operations staff of Dick's Sporting Goods Park are going to come out and also explain. And the one thing that I do remember with lights at sporting facilities, when they go off, they do take time to reheat back up to full steam.
Absolutely. It's just not an automatic, quick thing.
And the lights here at this field, an auxiliary field to the main stadium, probably operate in a different way than the main stadium.
Being some information we're getting now is they're on a timer.
Okay, somebody needs to just put a quarter in?
There we go.
Fine.
I got one right here. Come up.
So it'll take a moment for the lights to reset with 2:30 to go in the third quarter and a 10-2 advantage for Canada. We understand this could be as long as a 10-minute delay. As the teams are gathered around their respective benches, Blue Division play. This is the end of pool play in the World Championships. Earlier, the United States was all over Team Iroquois. We had anticipated that one would go down to the final bell. It didn't. Rob Pannell took over right away, and the United States was never going to be challenged. We'll continue that story with you in just a few moments. I understand we need to pay some bills. A commercial break is ahead. 10-2, Canada. Okie doke. We are back at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Joe Beninati with Mark Dixon, and this is when a World Championship lacrosse broadcast turns into a talk show. Canada has a 10-2 advantage. A tournament that has seen severe weather delays each and every day the last 5 is now being held up due to a light problem, lighting at Field 10 here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Officials and operations staff here at the stadium doing their best to get those lights back to full brilliance. And in the meantime, we talk lacrosse. Canada and Australia, we've seen Canada at their best in the last couple of days. They weren't all that horrible against the United States, although I think a lot of people felt like it was one-sided in the second quarter and on. But what have you liked most about the Canadians tonight?
I love the unselfish offense, the hot ball movement, the crisp passing. It doesn't die in anybody's stick. 1-2, it's out. 1-2, out. 1-2, out. It just is so difficult to defend when you think about the Canadians and how they approached the United States game a few days ago. Too much one-on-one. And the U.S., all they did was overplay the dominant hand of the Canadian Dodgers. Now with this quick ball movement, you don't have the ball die on anybody's stick, and their precision has been on point.
Safety of the players is always first and foremost. The lights here are starting to come back, but we understand it could take a little bit of time. We are going to step away for just a few moments. Canada on top of Australia. It's a 10-2 margin as we are almost ready to conclude Blue Division play. So you're saying you have a problem with the lights. Well, the good Lord will give you some light. Lightning. Please stay far, far away. Please stay far, far away from Dick's Sporting Goods Park. It is 10-2. Canada has the lead. This is the way the scoring has unfolded in the third quarter. Jeremy Noble having himself another day.
Yeah, and then, of course, Australia gets one back. They get a little momentum, but then Wesley Berg on the extra man cinches the twine. And then Mark Matthews sticks it right before being injured. And then Callum Robinson off the restart of the Matthews injury. Jesse King, Matthews' replacement. Not much easier than that.
I didn't know it was Jesse's birthday.
No kidding.
That was a gift.
How about it?
Okay, so 2.5 remain in the third quarter, and we are being held up at the moment with a problem dealing with the lights here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Curtis Dixon and Canada, their offense has been lighting it up from time to time throughout this tournament.
Sensational against the Japanese. Here he is against England, which really got Canada back on track. A 23-3 victory after falling to the United States. He can do it from the inside, he can do it from the outside. 3 goals against the Iroquois as well, including the game winner with 19 seconds left.
Canada in front by 8. The United States free and clear off of their win against the Iroquois. They're in the semifinals, so they'll get the day off tomorrow. Canada would like to have that same schedule. Should Canada continue to lead through the final tape, they'll get the berth along with the United States, and then our quarterfinal bracket would be set.
Absolutely. Israel taking on the Iroquois, and Scotland, Australia, both taking place tomorrow. Canada advancing through to the semifinals along with the United States. They would get a day of rest.
Coverage of the quarters on ESPN3, the semifinal Thursday on ESPNU, the championship match Saturday also on ESPNU. Ooh, bonus commercial time all around the world. More commercials, waiting for the lights to come up. Everyone in the stands a gold medal. It's almost midnight in Commerce City, Colorado. Lacrosse fans still out there, still rooting their hearts out for their favorites. Canada has a 10-2 lead. The lights are back up. We are back on. Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon with you on ESPN3, on TSN2, and all around the globe. Canada and Australia, the last game of round-robin pool play. Crowley, the reigning Major League Lacrosse most valuable player, weaves away from traffic. 6-on-6 with Cam Holding. Holding playing a little two-man game with Jordan Hall. Adam Jones pumps this one. It's stopped by Brown. Warren Brown, who has issues clearing. Get a whistle here in the stoppage and play. It'll be Australia ball, and Jones puts up a protest.
Interference. And they're going to throw a flag on this one on Adam Jones, saying it was intentional. There you see Warren Brown. He checks the goalie with the ball in his stick as he's in the crease. I don't know what the confusion is. I mean, that's interference. And under an international rule, that becomes time serving. Since it is time serving, well, either way, interference on a goalie is a free clear.
Geez, you sound like an official. Oh, you are an official. In green, Australia goes on offense. The extra man. If you haven't been with us throughout the night, no Matt Diver in the lineup for the Aussies. Right there was Nigel Morton in the normal spot occupied by Diver. He missed the target. The backup belongs to 37-year-old Nathan Stiglish, who had a huge night under the lights an evening ago against the Iroquois. A whistler from Pickett is too high, backed up by Anson Carter. Final 35 seconds of the third quarter. We're only in the third frame, folks. Still got 20 minutes of regulation time to go. And a chance for a whole lot more tomfoolery. Lawyerson. The open man in the corner is Carter. Leaning in on Rubish. Pickett keeps it hot. Change the point of attack for Pickett again. Nothing there. Cam Flint moving so fluidly. Good stick by Coates to deflect that out of bounds. That'll do it for 3 quarters. A 10-2 advantage for Canada. 20 minutes away from an immediate berth in the semifinal. Gulp it all in, everybody. The Aussies need a major comeback. They've got some big time catching up to do. Quarter number 4 from Dick's Sporting Goods Park. It's all yours in a moment. Okie dokie, let's throw a whole bunch of numbers your way. It's 10-2 Canada after 3, and we can follow that up with even more stats.
Here we take a look at the shots on goal. Relatively even, but Canada getting much more quality looks. Australia's done pretty well at the face-off X. Goaltending, however, Dylan Ward with 8 saves. The Australian tandem of Vickery and Brown only with 3 collectively.
Canada's offensive coordinator Matt Brown says for us it's all about ball movement and then people movement. Canada has done that in expert fashion tonight. Snyder's pass is picked off. Takarua was lying in wait. John Takarua, whose lacrosse idol is Dave Petramala from his playing days at Johns Hopkins. And Dave, presently Richie Meade's defensive coordinator for Team USA. If you missed it earlier in the day, United States all over Iroquois. Rob Pennell, brilliant, with 7 goals and 2 assists. Second most number of goals in a single game by a U.S. men's national team player ever. Newman runs out of real estate. Rubish has been good tonight. Very active. McIntosh there, the pass deflected. It'll get away from the midfielder Nigel Morton. They fence for it at the line. Takarua with a lift check on Dixon. And it's out of bounds off of Dylan Roy. It'll be Australia ball.
And you mentioned Kyle Rubish. He's blanketed Nathan Stiglish all night. Stiglish, I don't even think, not only does he not have a point, I don't even think he has a shot on goal. That's how comprehensive the coverage by Rubish has been. And then he shades out and covers the perimeter a little bit. So an unsung hero tonight defensively for Canada is Kyle Rubish.
10 days of the tournament, 142 games when it's all said and done. 9 different divisions. This is play in the blue division. Canada threatening to win this game and be the number 2 seed. McIntosh, big face dodge, gets inside and sends it wide. Jeremy Noble getting acclimated to life back behind the cage, and Gary Gates says he's taken to it quite nicely and re-energized this Canada offense, giving them a different approach.
It's a different adjustment. Noble's used to working primarily as a downhill dodger. He did invert a little bit during his time at the University of Denver, but he's always been a two-way player, playing defense, playing offense from the midfield, operating mostly in some situations against short sticks. Now he's got a pole all the time. He got used to it in college, but he's just such a great player. He's made such a great adjustment, and he makes them different with his quickness and his athleticism behind the cage.
This guy right here scored 4 times against Japan. Curtis Dixon on the sprint for Zach Greer, who had his name on the score sheet back in the opening quarter. So too Cam Flint in the second frame. Wesley Berg is tallied tonight. A whole bunch of different people have lit the lamp for Canada tonight. Wesley Berg operating. Distributes for Jeremy Noble, the former Big East Midfielder of the Year. Greer bullying his way in, turned back by Mortimer. Zach Greer to chase down all the way to the defensive half. Anson Carter right there, and Greer says, I need a little help from you, Dylan Ward. And then Dan Coates.
It's pretty obvious Canada's taking the foot off the gas a little bit, extended possession. Surprised they didn't get a stall warning on that last time down, and Greer mishandling up top, but no harm as he's able to corral the loose ball, and now Canada's back on business.
Stall warning against the Canadians here. Noble motioning for the offense as he's picked up by Brad Sheldon. Just about to cross the 4-minute mark of the fourth quarter. Jeremy Noble on the dead run. That was a tough catch for Crowley. Meeting him, it's Callum Mortimer. Crowley waving that magic wand and finding Wesley Berg on the end line. 6-on-6 here. Berg over the shoulder, a bouncer that goes wide. Jeremy Noble recovers. Curtis Dixon zooms one wide. Going to get a goalie change for Canada at the opposite end. It'll be the end of the night for Dylan Ward. Brennan Donville comes off of Randy Mearns' bench to protect an 8-goal cushion. Noble on the pass, good catch. Crowley inside, bouncer blocked by Warren Brown, and he's got it trapped.
I think it's stuck.
I think it's in his shorts. He's about to hatch it. There it is. Warren Brown just hatched a lacrosse ball.
Much to the delight of the Aussie faithful.
I'm telling you, my life is a Woody Allen movie. Cover to cover, my life is a Woody Allen movie. I've seen it all in 6 days in Commerce City. Warren Brown's in no hurry to clear. Let's see if we can find out how the ball arrives.
New meaning to the hidden ball trick.
Yes, it's hidden all right.
It's in his pants. Excuse me, mate.
Careful.
It's in my trousers.
Careful with that. I realize we're on the verge of midnight locally, but this is a family show. Stiglish will bring it this way. Australia, 2 measly goals tonight. Lawyerson and Morton. The Morton strike was on extra man.
The Australians just have not gotten the Canadian defense rotating. No penetration. They've gotten some decent shots. Like that one.
Oh, yeah. Anson Carter has the range to strike.
They've actually had better looks than this against Dylan Ward, but he came up with some saves. Donville, just a little exchange on the wing and not much angle. And Anson Carter just delivers a nice bouncer past the Canadian netminder.
Brennan Donville's a 20-year-old who's presently enrolled at Cornell. Being introduced to the game by Anson Carter. Running time here in the fourth quarter until we get to the 3-minute mark. 10-3 for Canada. A squad that dispatched the Aussies twice back in 2010 when the Canadians earned the silver medal. Right now, I guess we have a scoreboard issue because Anson Carter hasn't been given credit. And oh, by the way, we're way less than 20 minutes remaining in the fourth unless somebody is playing an awfully cruel trick. Folks, I'll keep it with my stopwatch. Let's go. Canada has a 10-3 advantage, and Adam Jones has once again been prominent in the attack.
Well, the little quick attackman out of Canisius off of the failed clear after Vickery gave it up. He's got good range, can come up top. We saw him with a beautiful no-look pass yesterday behind the back to Mark Matthews, so a magician with the wand as well.
Snyder will dig in against Ben Newman. Jeff Snyder, an MVP performance 8 years ago. Playing in this, his third world championship now. He's a bulldozer there. He's on top of that lacrosse ball to give it back to Team Australia. The officials tonight, Chris Clark II, Scott McCall, Hiro Fumi Hayashi, and Peter Davidson.
Snyder, that power clamp is so strong, but when he holds it and no one else can get to it, that is illegal. It is withholding from play, and hence another turnover to Australia. I say another because that's like the second or third time it's happened tonight to Schneider.
If I have my terminology right, he uses the motorcycle grip.
Absolutely.
Chris Eck is more of an over-under type grip for Team USA. And Eck and Gurenlian have been super for the United States at the face-off X.
Well, that was really, when you look at the roster from top to bottom, Team USA, no head scratchers. Yeah, maybe we talked about David Lawson perhaps being a surprise, but the biggest surprise was Gurenlian, who withdrew from the process due to injury. Once he was healthy again, Richie Meade said, "You're my second face-off man." So taking 2 Fogos, hence taking up a skilled position out of the field, was the only real eyebrow raiser for Team USA. But I think those 2 performances, Eck and Gurenlian, through the first 5 games of this tournament, have shown that it was a pretty wise move by Coach Richie Meade.
At the stroke of midnight in Commerce City, Colorado, Joe Beninati along with Mark Dixon. 11.5 minutes away is Canada from a day off. They will excuse themselves from the quarterfinal exercise. Just the same for the United States. The Iroquois and the Australians will have a date tomorrow. If this game stays put and Canada prevails, Israel will take on Australia. Scotland will meet the Iroquois. Earlier today, the United States did a tremendous job on the Thompson clan. Tucker Durkin just may very well be the best defender in the world right now.
He's playing great. Michael Evans is playing terrific. You have to love their defensive midfield unit. Dan Burns played today. Matt Abbott just gliding up and down the field. That is a solid, stout unit, but Durkin drew the assignment of Lyle Thompson and did a tremendous job against the co-Tewaaraton winner.
King snapped it wide. The only bugaboo, the only black eye for Canada tonight, the potential loss due to injury to Mark Matthews, who we saw hobbled on a couple of occasions. Berg, short side, shut down by Warren Brown, who explodes out of the crease. Rolls it ahead out of the grasp of Matthew Fuss. 10 minutes to operate in the fourth. Jeremy Noble, Curtis Dixon sets his feet. Wow, does he throw a slider at you.
He's been hooking his last couple of shots, though. They've been pulling left, if you will, almost like a baseball hitter swinging the bat too early.
No more rain, but the temperatures are in the 50s. It's cool. Earl on his way, sends it wide. Or I guess the locals might say it's fresh. It's a fresh quality. I need another sweater, please. I need a 4th layer. Perhaps a turtleneck. Noble on the go, and a toque. We are doing Team Canada. How about a toque?
No parasol.
No parasols needed. It's pitch dark. Thank goodness we have lighting, though. Noble hesitates. Dixon on the isolation against Fuss. Stall warning against Canada. 9 minutes to play. Ooh. Curtis Dixon. Good stick in the passing lane for Takarua. Good shoulder check thrown by Sheldon. And then Brown is extremely active out of that crease. He doesn't like to be confined to that goal crease, does he?
Not at all. He's an adventurous type. Sometimes it hurts him. And sometimes like that, though, it helps, and he makes plays.
Canadian swarming Anson Carter, and somehow he manages to get out of there.
It's an obstacle course.
He was triple teamed, bobbing and weaving. Ooh, good lift check there, maybe too much so. I think David Earl's going to get flagged here.
Looks like Earl, a little bit of a clothesline right there. And then it starts to get a little chippy. between the Australians and the Canadians. But Australia, even Coach Meredith threw on the sweatshirt there, Joe.
You thought I was kidding?
No. He's from Australia, though. Not
David
supposed to get
Earl.
cold.
David Earl sits. Aussies go man up after the holding violation was assessed. Stiglish, Carter, Morton, flagged down by Donville. Brennan Donville from the Toronto suburb of Oakville, on in place of the starter Dylan Ward, who will see his goals against average continue to shrink. Ward only surrendered 2 to the Aussies tonight. King on the jog, no particular hurry. Holding will turn. Blustery conditions now for the final 7 minutes of the fourth. That's usually code for the entire booth is blowing away. Blustery conditions. Crowley up top, holding. Working back, wants his left all day. King on a sneak to the heart of the Australian defense. Keep it moving. Jones fires and scores. Adam Jones with a hat trick.
We just highlighted him in a package, showing him scoring goals in different ways. And here, it's just, again, ball movement. The Canadians very content just to run the clock out, but the Australians are not going to quit. And look at Warren Brown. He's 2 steps outside of the crease. Nice recognition by Jones, bounces it at his feet, which is good right there because he's so far out of the crease and it nestles under the crossbar.
The guys who love the Maple Leaf are on their way to victory with 5:50 to go. Mark, if you call the hotel, ask for some warm milk, perhaps, or
some hot spot of hot tea.
Turn down service.
We did England today.
We did.
Maybe some Earl Grey.
Japan, Ken Ikagawa with a game winner, a game that was settled in overtime, 8 minutes worth. Israel destroyed Germany. Matthew Cherry had 4, Ari Sussman had 3. Scotland keeps on winning. So Scotland will tangle with Iroquois. Israel will meet Australia in 5 minutes and 15 seconds. That'll be official. The United States will be the 1 seed, the Canadians the 2.
You got to think that Scotland is going to be a tough out, but boy, the Iroquois, they're not going to be a happy bunch tomorrow after being drubbed by the United States.
Once again, we hope you will indulge us and be with us all day long on ESPN3. A full day of lacrosse at the 2014 FIL World Lacrosse Championships. King floats across the restraining line. Whoops, whoopsie. That got away from Earl. Anson Carter takes it away for Team Australia. Goals tonight from Lawyerson, Morton, and Carter, and that's it. A solid showing for the guys in the white jerseys, especially at this end of the field. When you have possession awarded to you like you get it from Jeff Snyder, you're in really good shape.
No question. Big criticism in '06. The last time the U.S. lost the championship to Canada was that they didn't have a dedicated Fogo. They had 3 guys, Kevin Cassis, Kyle Harrison, and Doug Shanahan, that were functional face-off men, meaning that they could play offense, play defense, in addition to facing off. Jeff Snyder ate their lunch. Now, 2014, Eck and Gorenly in a 2-headed monster, 2-headed Fogo monster that could wear Snyder down.
Carter, nice quick stick from distance. That's 4 on the board for Australia. And 2 in succession for Anson.
I like the ball movement of the Australians to get the end zone look. Marty Hyde, just a little bit of a Kyle Rubisch. He's played such a good game, but he was a little lazy right there, not closing out on Anson Carter. Nice step down, good shot, nice placement There you see Rubish kind of being like, man, I should have been there a little bit sooner. But I like the way the Australians play offense. They just have not been able to get anybody that can run by any Canadian defenders, and therefore no penetration.
Among common opponents, the United States beat Australia 16-7. Canada now owns an 11-4 margin. Snyder wins a draw, trying to get himself a goal. Buzzes one wide. So Anson Carter, who had 2 against England and a tally against the United States Saturday, watches as Snyder retires to the sideline and Jeremy Noble starts the offense. We are under 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, which means stop time. Should have no impact and effect on Team Canada. Squad that led 3-1 after 1, 6-1 at the half, and has lengthened its lead to 7 right now. McIntosh goes inside to score. Jordan McIntosh.
Wearing the number 24, John Grant Jr., the man who he took the place of on this Team Canada roster. Goal line extended. That's not terrible defense by Bullock. But then the stick fake, and that's where you got to close him out. If this game's a little bit more competitive, I think Callum Robinson is probably coming across crease and delivering a much fiercer body check than just the Olay that was displayed right there.
12-4 with 2:27 to go on ESPN3, on TSN2 across Canada and around the world on international outlets like Sky. The wind is still whipping, and it's carrying Canada to victory lane in 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Ben Newman, Thomas Graham, and the Aussies will go through Blue Division group play at 2 and 3. Canada will be 4 and 1, the second seed. On the go here, it's Smarty Hyde. The United States is 5 and 0. Iroquois 3 and 2. So the seeding out of the blue: U.S., Canada, Iroquois, Australia. Japan and England have been relegated. We'll say hello to Scotland and Israel tomorrow in quarterfinal play.
I'm excited. I'm excited for that Israel game that you and I are going to call.
Good save by Donville on the doorstep.
See if the Israeli team, with their influx of Division I talent, Sussman. Everybody's saying Sussman's having maybe the best tournament of any offensive player. We'll get to see him work against this Australian defense.
I was told by Israeli officials today that Sussman did not play Major League Lacrosse this summer to focus his efforts and energies to playing for Israel.
Now they've got their shot. They are in contention for a world championship.
They are a nice-looking squad, and they've been puffing their chest out as they've been drilling teams along the way, and they just took it to Germany. A team that you and I saw down Belgium in easy fashion on this field. Never expected that one to be 15-1. That's what it was for Israel, as McIntosh trims it too fine. 55 seconds to go. The end of a long, ultra-long day 6 at the World Lacrosse Championships. This is the end of pool play. It all matters now, working towards that championship bracket starting tomorrow. Jordan Hall heaves it high, and then he got decked. 12-4. A significant margin for the Canadians, who took down the Aussies twice 4 years ago in Manchester, England. That's where the tournament will be in 2018. We're going to find out in the next 3 or 4 days who will go there as the reigning champ. The crown will be handed out on Saturday on ESPNU, the semis on Thursday. Join us tomorrow on ESPN3 for all the quarterfinal festivities. Canada is 4-1 through the Blue Division by virtue of a 12-4 decision over a game Australian side.
Canada knew what was at stake. Number 2 seed. They came out, fell behind 1-0, and then just dissected the Australian defense. Hats off to Jeff Snyder. Good face-off work. Kyle Rubish just blanketed Nathan Stiglish all game long. And, man, wave the flag, because you guys are the number 2 seed. You've earned a day off, and Canada is in the semifinals.
Well, they earned the right to take the rest of Wednesday off.
Right.
Since we're already into Wednesday.
We thank you for
12-4.